Hello, everybody. Thanks for showing up to this live stream.
What is happening, Corey? We have episode 7 to talk about.
Oh my
Chat
God.
looks like they are cranking over there. Hello, chat. Hope everyone's doing good. I've been actually reading you guys.
Go ahead, Mike. Sorry.
I was saying I've been reading what's going on over there, and there is a pretty good question over there already by Nate, who says, "How did Peyton Fane get out of the ways?" Or how did he even get into the ways as well?
He did not have a magical bullshit Aes Sedai, who is also a lesbian, to let him in. So that question is entirely warranted. Let's be honest about it. Before we answer that question, first of all, we have 14 people in the chat. Thank you very much for showing up. Before we get down into the weeds on episode 7, I'm going to tell you, I rewatched that thing today, and I'm still recovering. But first of all, I am about to cross over 940 subscribers to Texas Salty Sea. I am humbled. I am so incredibly grateful. And I just want to say thank you to everyone for the support. And thanks also to Zach, who's the mod in the chat. I want to say thank you very much to him for that. And also say thank you to Mike for being part of these live streams. So thanks, everybody.
My pleasure completely. And yeah, shout out to Kyle. Thank you very much, man. I appreciate it. I made him a mod for my channel too the other day.
Yep.
Really appreciate it.
Yep.
And I'm going to have him on at some point. He almost came on, but he wasn't caught up with the Witcher series that we were talking about. So I said, do your homework and come on, because having two people that don't know what the hell they're talking about is just too many. So I was bad to see it. So
all right. So let's go back to the chat and let's go back to that question. Do you have that pulled up, Mike? Because I'd like to address.
I do not, because somebody did not make me a co-host. I'm a guest, so I do not have the privileges to click on their chat and put them on the screen. So,
oh Lord! All right, hold on 1 second.
No, it's fine. It just means you have to do more work.
That's all right. So let me go back through this. All right, let's get back to the question. So, you guys are seeing me, Boomer. I just grabbed a new streaming software, and this is not.
It was a funny joke, guys. I got him to spend the money on Restream after he'd been using StreamYard. And then as soon as he paid the money, I said, yeah, just kidding. I'm going to StreamYard. And I bought StreamYard. So he's stuck over here on. Not stuck. I mean, it's got so many great features, but still. It was a little bit of a humor moment.
I think it had to do with Fane coming through the ways.
Yes. How to get out? Because Maureen has to channel to open the doorway, because they've changed the ways. It no longer requires, evidently, the leaf key to open the doorway. So, in the books, of course, Fane was talking about it. Like he was quizzed later. He was interrogated. And they said, well, how did you get through? How'd you even get in? And he says, I don't know. I was standing there trying to figure out how the hell you guys got in here. And suddenly the knowledge was just there in my head. So he knew what to do with the leaf. But we don't have that. We don't have a leaf. We don't have that mechanism that opens the ways. How did he even get in? How did he get back out again? Yeah, good stuff. So,
all right. Yeah, you guys should be seeing the new chat comments now. I apologize for boomering these things, but it is what it is. So there are so many problems with episode 7 that looking at episode 6, I was like, okay, we have hit the abyss. There's nowhere else that they can go. In 7, I should have known better. Out of the gate, the things that they say about Matt, and my episode 7 review will drop tomorrow probably, it was kind of horrifying, because it seemed that the writers were not talking about the character of Matrim from Robert Jordan's books. It sounded like they were talking about the actor who portrayed Matt. Now, Mike, did you think that at all, or am I just reading too much into it?
No, I thought that they were talking about the actor. Yeah, I'm on board with you on that.
It's I was shocked, to be honest with you. I really was at how vindictive. But then again, I
Yeah,
guess who we're dealing with, does that really surprise anybody at all?
exactly. Yeah,
So,
yeah.
um,
We didn't leave him. He left us.
yeah, yeah. I
Yeah.
mean, what do you guys in chat think was what happened in the ways on a scale of 1 to 10? Was that a 0? Or was it a 9, a 10? I make a reference, and I'm spoiling my episode 7 review, but that's okay. You're here and part of this chat. I thought that when they were in the ways, someone had gone to the Star Trek the Motion Picture prop room and grabbed all of those hexagonal pieces from the motion picture when the Enterprise is parked and they go see V'ger. And then I was like, okay, that's a little bit of a stretch. But then the sound effects of when they're in the ways, I really, really, I was like, somebody's having fun with us, because there's no way you can have all of that same prop work from Star Trek the Motion Picture and that same funky V'ger sound be the representation of the ways. Mike, am I crazy?
I actually am not familiar with the source, the reference there. Having not seen, or maybe that Star Trek episode or that Star Trek movie, and gosh, probably since it was released, I can't remember any of that. So I don't even know anything about the set or the sounds or whatever. No.
So let's talk about what happened in the ways itself.
Okay.
God, that's the first blood vessel I almost blew today. So, we're talking about Mesh and Shin.
Yes, the
And
Black
then
Wind. The Black Wind, who's not a Black Wind. Yep.
No, it look. I'm gonna spoil my
The Black Legos.
7. Well, what I said was it looks like the machine monster from the Matrix Reloaded. That's what it reminded me of. It looked
Oh,
not
I see.
like
Yeah.
anything from a fantasy element. So, it's yeah. The other thing was the most glaring part was who saves them. Who saves them? Well, of course it's Nynaeve. I mean, I run out of words because, again, none of these young female characters, or at least Rafe Judkins' young adult female characters, seem to need training. No one needs to be a novice. No one needs to become an accepted. It's just Nynaeve is so powerful and amazing that she can beat the, Mash and Shin that everyone would be afraid of. A full Aes Sedai would be afraid of.
Yes. Yes.
And what were your biggest problems with that entire part of the ways, Mike?
So you're talking about the Nynaeve saving everybody scene. Yeah. So, well, my problem was multi, because, for example, it's too early for her. She had, like you said, she hasn't had any training at all. I get the idea that they're toying with the block, and how the voices in her head made her angry enough to then walk calmly across the thing and stand in the middle of the flying Legos and create the sphere of awesomeness. But it's just, I mean, okay. Little spoiler, Great Hunt book readers, her ripping trees out of the ground and beating the crap out of people with them is such an awesome scene. Obviously, she wasn't trained to rip trees out of the ground. It's just her level of anger, seeing Egwene, a thing happens to her. I get that. I get you can have that temper tantrum moment where you can do things beyond what you're normally able to do. I mean, I'm okay with that. It's just way too soon. And then again, just that Nynaeve saves everybody's stuff. I didn't like that. And I just didn't like the whole scene. I mean, I can go on. I mean, the Black Wind not being the Black Wind, it's supposed to be vast. It's supposed to be actually like a wind. The idea of it coming up and you could kind of feel a little wind on the side of your face and everyone goes, oh shit, it's coming. And then that feeling of trepidation, we have to haul ass. I mean, I could go on and on, but just that one scene, like you're saying, it's just, okay, stop, everybody stop. Let's do a women power moment here. Let's have Nynaeve do the incredible thing. Okay, we've done that. Okay, now we can move on. Like, hurry, Moraine, hurry. And she looks over her shoulder and like this weird kind of arcs her back over to look over her shoulder at Nynaeve doing the thing. And then she told, and I'm like, can we please, can we just get out? Can we just move on, please? This is a joke.
I
But
know.
yeah, the whole way through the ways was bad. There was nothing really good about it. Lightning, was there lightning in the ways? Anybody remember lightning in the ways? I don't remember that. But you know what? That's nitpicky though. Yeah.
I want to do a shout out to Ms. Martin Uses. She does a great live streams of her own.
And I asked Miss Martin Muses to come on to our channel. The invitation's still open, but we were rudely debuffed on that. No, I'm just kidding. I'm just kidding. Not rudely. Not really. She was nice. Super nice.
The opinions of OBG70 are not reflective of Texas Salty Sea, although he's not wrong. So we'll just say that. So no, I'm just glad you're here. Thank you.
She could come on right now. Twitter, whatever. Send links. Love to have her.
So, yeah. So, Chris Mayberry, to answer your question, yes, they did. And the visual representation, again, it was not at all. I think I've said this a million times, when you read a book, it's one of the more intimate things that you can do. It's truly yourself with yourself. And you formulate a lot of things that aren't necessarily articulated, but I don't think anybody thought that it would be a series of metallic, like rectangles swirling around, like I'd mentioned, like something from the Matrix Reloaded. And
yeah, my reference was Stargate SG-1 stuff. So they have the replicators, which is one of the main enemies, and that to me looked like replicators, and I was like, okay, that's the reference I had to explain that. But yeah, it looked like fine Legos or something. I don't know. It was really strange.
Yep.
Or if you're a Expanse fan, they go to that alien planet at season whatever it is, and they're little flying bug things that whip around, kind of like that as well.
It also reminded me of the swarm of beetles from the first Mummy movie. But then again, there's just a lot of lazy things.
I think we can agree, though, Corey, that if you get touched by Mon-Chin-Chin or Mei-Chin-Chin or whatever we're going to pronounce it, that
you're dead.
Death. Yeah, you're dead. Yeah. They get you.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's over.
It's not really debatable unless, of course, you are the creative genius that is Rafe Judkins. So that then brings us to the city in the kingdom that belongs to Liam the Warder. What did we think about that? Because I remember reading in the books that this was sort of there were trees around there. The blight was starting to creep, but this was a place that got a lot of snow, and there were a lot of essentially A-frame houses because it was in this northern, sort of a sub or arboreal region. What we get on screen is, of course, the backlot from the Scorpion King, and not at all what I expected. I'm blanking. Fardal, isn't it to be? Mike, what did you think?
Yeah, exactly right. There was vegetation. There were some flowers, perhaps in hibernation, but there was stuff around. And as you encroach upon, as you enter the waste, it becomes not the waste. Sorry, the blight. It becomes less and less and less. The flowers, the trees, the plants, whatever's there, less and less, and more sickly. Instead of being more green, you get more yellows, then some oranges, and then it just as it fades into like dying and death and decay and then molds and funguses and all that stuff. And then you're going. Then it gets worse and worse and worse the further you get in until it becomes more sparse. Then there aren't any plants. Then there are crazy animals and things you've never seen, never heard of, like weird giant centipede creatures and insects that will get you and bugs that will get. I already said that, but I mean. Little animals that you don't want to get bit by, and it gets hostile the further you get in. Yeah. So are we jumping in right into this growth of roots, or do you want to hit this later?
No, okay. I wanted to hit the city. And again, for those of you who read the books, this was to me, it was a really important element to land that I didn't see coming, and are there undeniable similarities between this and Aragorn from Tolkien series? Yes. This would be one of those very heavily borrowed from elements from the Tolkien world that Robert Jordan turned into his own creation. The the characterization of what we saw on screen in episode 7, again, being in this Sahara deserty situation with, pyramid uh, architecture, I, I didn't like it at all. I also didn't like some of the intrigue in characterization of some of the characters that were important from Land's backstory. Mike, what do you think?
Yeah, I think we got to see Uno in the background somewhere. Lord Algramar it was off to me. I didn't care for that at all. Yeah, the way that, of course, they've already ruined Land. We know that, but I mean, just the way that he interacted with people, it was very different. One of the things that was pointed out that I agreed with was not agreed. I agree with them pointing it out, not what happened in the book in the TV show. Sorry, but when Moiraine and Lan arrived, they are supposed to be super excited to see them. Mm-hmm. Thank God the White Tower has sent help because we're being constantly invaded by the Trollocs, and we need all the help we can get. Thank you. Or okay. Where can we put you to the best use? Can you go out there tomorrow, or could you go out there right now? Like, we have people in Tarwin Gap. They're battling all the time. We need help. And it's like, that is all gone. Instead, we get the other, I guess, the 180 off of that, which is basically, why are you here? And it's like, well, we're here because we have reasons. And the White Tower doesn't believe we can handle things ourselves. Are you kidding me? It's like,
well,
complete reversal.
You know what that was.
Explain.
And it comes back to, well, in all of my episode reviews, I keep repeating the same truth, which is that this is intersectional storytelling. Men have to be stupid, which encompasses being arrogant and suspicious, or they have to be evil. And so you cannot have a king, or let's be honest, a steward in Land's absence, being smarter or more capable than Moiraine. She has to show up everyone. Like, it's a ceaseless theme to this show. And that leads us down a road to the rest of the episode with other characters that are ham-fistedly introduced in this. I was shocked. I was watching the episode. I saw a bartender and I looked at her and I was like,
oh, yeah.
Oh, no. Oh, no.
Oh, yes. I warned you.
Oh, no. And I was like, you took one of my favorite, second tier characters from the story and you turned her into this world weary, abomination of a character. I mean, Min was amazing in the story. And once again, we're in the wrong city with the wrong characters being the wrong things in the wrong storyline. I mean, if memory serves, Min was in Camelin. And after they split out of Camelin, she still stayed in Camelin and then appeared
Barillon. Yeah. I think it was Barillon. Yeah. First city they got to after leaving the Terran Ferry or Tyrian Ferry. Yep. And Moiraine already knew all about her, pulled her aside, kind of, hey, can you look over my shoulder at the boys over there and tell me what you see, and then she told Moiraine some secret stuff that Moiraine kept to herself. And then it was only later Rand finds out what she can do. And he says, what do you see when you look at me? Is it, I can't remember. He says something like, is it like a dream or something? She says, I didn't think it was a dream, meaning that she sees herself falling in love with him.
Well, so, it was a complete, it was to me, it was a complete.
I got that wrong, but I missed some parts of that. I got that wrong, but I mean, overall, that's what she said. She saw some things about him. She explained it, but then he asked a question about a dream, is it a dream or would it be a dream or something? And I remember her response to whatever the question was, and maybe chat can remember this, but her response was, I didn't think it would be a dream, meaning how she would feel about him. She's looking at this farm boy, 18 years old, still got hay in his hair. And she's like, why would I like this kid? Because she's 5-10 years older than him in the book, something like that.
Yeah.
Not 20 years older, not 20 years older.
Well, she's also, in the books, she's a streetwise tomboy who she her powers in what she has is not what Amazon's Wheel of Time is telling us.
Yeah.
No, I mean she can see people and see halos, and based upon that, see if they're going to be great. She is
Hmm.
not. She doesn't have these prophetic visions like some type of an oracle, like Amazon is trying to say. And not only that, but the way that she's acting in the story is a convenience of, again, identity politics and intersectional feminism. It is not Robert Jordan's Min at
No.
all. So go ahead.
Well, I was going to ask. Initially I saw who they had planned the actor out there. I knew what I would find if I checked out this person's social media, so I did not. But I just didn't think that she even reminded me of Min. Like I would see her and I go, like, you know how people say that if you cast correctly, you can look at an actor and you could guess what role they would play. Like you could see them in a role. I couldn't see her in anything. So I don't know. I didn't like anything about her. But now we really need to talk about this story she tells Rand, but I don't know if you're ready to jump into that about Tam, the sword, the heron mark, and the baby. And
Yes. Yes.
okay, yeah. So her abilities is symbolism. She sees a symbol above your head. Sometimes she knows
Mhm.
what it means. If she absolutely for sure knows what it means, then it's absolutely going to come true. She can see two random people walking down the street, and she knows that they will get married. There's a symbol over their head, something happening, probably wedding rings or the same thing, whatever. Something that binds us to strangers, people that don't know each other. She knows they are going to get married at some point. A woman walking down the street, she's going to have triplets, right? There's things that she just knows based upon, but sometimes she sees a symbol, has no clue what it means. So it's all about very, very succinct interpretations of what she sees. So
Well,
she's talking,
halos. Yeah, it's the
yeah,
halos of
halos, yeah,
greatness.
yeah,
She sees that with Logain in the later books and other people.
yeah,
She does know when people are going to die or if they're going to be close to death.
yeah. And if it's a
I mean,
violent one, or if they just die in their sleep
yes,
or whatever, she has
yes,
some specifics. Yeah,
yeah.
she
So
saw. Yeah, go ahead.
go ahead.
I was gonna say about Matt. Like, if you want to talk about the book adaptation or the book material, she sees, the Shadar Logoth dagger, but at the time we don't know that's what it is. She sees a
Yep.
dagger with a ruby in the hilt. She sees a falcon and a hawk on Piran's shoulders. Again, we have no clue what that means. But for the life of me, and I guess I could have prepared and looked this up. Chat can help out. What did they see? What did she see back in Barillon? What did she see with regards to Rand? Was it just three women that she couldn't see their faces, and she knew that maybe
Yes.
she didn't even
She
know
would.
that they would love him or not, or was there
Yes.
more? Was there a laurel crown? Was there any other symbolism of his importance? I don't remember. Was there a sword? Was this
She
crystal
knew.
swords or something?
Well,
Or is
see,
that later? I don't
it
remember.
is. It is later. I remember the first time she sees him, she sees greatness with him. I think later viewings, she realizes, I think it's from being with Elaine, that she has to share Rand with Elaine. I
Hmm.
think that's when the vision of the wreath comes along. You
Okay.
know, to circle back to what we've got on screen, absolutely nothing there. How, it would have been so powerful is having nobody, not having Moiraine come up with this ham-fisted, exposition dump thing like, oh, you're Min, you're the magical seer who sees everything. No,
Hmm.
instead we have Rand walk into the bar, and then you see Rand from her perspective. Do you know
Yeah.
what I mean? I mean, that would at least engage you. But once we start down that rabbit hole, I don't know where we stop. It's episode 7, honestly. And for those of you who just joined the chat, we did talk about how Matt was utterly mistreated when they entered the ways. And not only that, but how the writers of the show seem to want to demonize the actor who quit or was fired from this production. Based upon the dialogue that we saw in that opening scene, I am going to
Yeah.
place my money on the fact that he quit. And
Hmm.
if you're only going to consume a few moments of this show, once we talk about, and we can talk about the eye eel in a moment, but that scene where they talk smack about Matt is, in my mind, a direct correlation to the actor that played it.
Now, what did you think about them explaining about Rand's backstory, his birth, the dragon, all that through Min by her explaining how she saw Tam Althor and that whole story all the way up until the exact description of the house that he lives in, like the little wooden shack in the woods. How did I mean, that's obviously not how her power works, right? But they needed to change the way her power works in order to explain to the audience some of the stuff that they did not show in the backstory, right? The Tam, this fever dream, they cut that off into like a couple of sentences. Like they could have explained so much. So they use her, change her power.
I think it was stupid. I mean, again, Min isn't Min. Min isn't Min any more than Moiraine is not Moiraine, Lan isn't Lan, and any of the Emmons Field Five were ever any of the Emmons
Did you feel any cast chemistry between Min and Rand?
Oh my God. I keep giving away my episode 7.
Your review? Oh, yeah.
Yeah. But I talk about how when we have all of the Emmons Field 4, not the 5, in the ways, it could not be more of a awkward, chemistry-free, it looks like a bunch of freshmen are being led around a campus somewhere that don't know each other. And it's...
Yeah.
With Min, there's nothing for Min. All I have is strong, independent woman who has magical powers and needs to belittle Rand. And it's like, oh, we haven't seen that in the last 6 episodes before, have we? So,
right.
Yeah, but
cast chemistry between any of these characters is so bad that I just don't like anybody. You know, I told you, I think maybe off stream or maybe it was our Witcher stream. That I loved the cast chemistry between in the first 10 minutes of season 1, episode 1 of The Witcher. I already loved the characters, even the extras, because they all had this witty banter and chemistry, and the acting was on point, and everything was just amazing. And I was like, okay, I already care about all these people. I'm on episode 7 now. I care about 0. I want Payton Thane to win. I'm on Team Thane. I want him to kill everybody. I'm happy to see him come through the portal. He's my favorite actor so far. He's the only one that seems to know what the hell he's doing. And I'm gonna get t-shirts made. Team Thane all the way. But anyways, yeah.
No,
look for my merch.
Sheldon.
No, just kidding. But
but just Sheldon isn't wrong. Min is going to be an exposition feast for this show. Absolutely. And this is how Rafe Judd. This is the moronic and there's a lot of words I want to use, but I can't because apparently YouTube doesn't like them. This is going to be a convenient artifact for Rafe Judkins to try and climb out of the narrative holes that he has put the show in and these characters in. Every time that something can't be explained and they need backstory revealed, it's going to be Min who's going to essentially just trot it out matter-of-factly, probably picking her teeth with a knife, going, well, duh, of course it's this. I saw it in a dream, and which is completely and totally untrue. So
and where you at on this drama? This is this Dawson Creek level drama that was between all the kids. Okay,
let's save that because it was literally. I'm going to be honestly, episode 7, as much as episode 6 infuriated me, episode 7 was almost like they knew that they had screwed the pooch entirely, and they just went for broke. Literally, I think that. And I could be wrong, but I think that they hated their audience. I think that they were already blaming the audience for rejecting what they knew was going to be a terrible product. And I think that is why they went for broke with turning this into Dawson Creek, CW talking in hallways about feelings to steal from Nerdrotic. That's what we got. I mean, that's the end of the episode. But before we go there, let's talk about the opening shot of episode 7 with the Aiel fighting at the foot of at Dragon Mount. And I'm going to be honest, and God, nobody's going to watch my episode 7 review. I'm giving you guys all the goodies on this one. I actually loved it. I loved what I saw, and here's why. It looked like a television show I might actually be interested in. That is the first time in 7 episodes of this show that I went, oh, that's cool. Like, I'm actually watching, the things moving in fast action, and I could get behind this. Imagine if they would have started out episode 1 with that and kept that same pace. Woulda, coulda, shoulda. Was it perfect? No. Were there continuity issues with the basketball they had under those like white gauzy robes the Aiel was wearing? Yes. But at least, my God, what an emotional launch point it would have been to start with that. And then, of course, then we have to literally erase everything Rafe Judkins did. And then, Corey has to rewrite this, and that's unfortunately not going to happen. But what did you think about that scene, Mike?
Well, yeah, I'm just sitting here kind of going over what you're saying here. And I think maybe, can we get somebody else in here to replace me? I may have to quit. Disagree 100%. I hated that opening.
Oh,
he tested
wow.
every bit about it. Yeah. Because I'm looking more detail oriented. She wasn't Tigraine. Tigraine's a golden haired princess, and I know she went and joined the Maidens of the Spear. I know she toughens up. I know she graduates with honors. She's a badass. I get that, but they forgot. They mixed it up. They messed up. They cast a redheaded girl because they had Aiel on the brain. So they were thinking, okay, Rand's redhead. We got to get an Aiel mom, a Maiden of the Spear. So they cast the wrong person, which doesn't surprise me at all. As people say it, she's pregnant. She's going into contractions, and she's doing Black Widow level super stunts, beating everybody's ass. She's like 90 pounds soaking wet, plus maybe a 9-pound baby, and she's able to grab 250, 300-pound people by the cloak and yank them through the air. The whole time I was just hiding my hands, peering through my fingers, shaking my head, going, "Please make it stop." There was nothing about that I liked at all. I hated every bit of that. Although in my review, I did stop and I said, but as far as a badass action scene on that level of the MCU, Black Widow going down hallways and just obliterating everybody that walks up, it's a badass scene. It looks really cool. It looks really great, actually. And I think Rafe Judkins had said that they had based the entire scene around her because she does some sort of stunts. She's like a stunt woman, has something that she does in whatever place it was that they filmed it. What is it? Czech Republic, whatever it is. And they saw her and were like, okay, we want you to come and do it. We're going to make the story around you. But they could have at least changed her hair a little bit, maybe put some colored contacts in, done something to make her look more like Tigraine. And then just maybe not gone so over the top. But yeah, I didn't like it. I don't know how chat feels. Chat, are you with me here? I mean, did you feel it was a little bit too much?
Nobody's with you, Mike.
Nope, everybody hates me? Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
No.
We got to beat up on Corey here.
No. You beat it. You go ahead, dude. It's
Yeah,
I appreciate that. Let me tell you why. I'll put it into context that out of everything that we saw through 1% of the episodes for Wheel of Time, that was the first thing that I didn't think was total and complete dog poop. And I liked it because it to me, it like I said, I think it shows what could have been. Was it perfect? Absolutely not. But out of all of the hours that I have watched of this horrible show, that was the one thing that was the picking. I'm not going to use that. I'm not going to use that analogy. That was the one edible thing in the dumpster that if I were starving to death, I would consume. Let's just put it like that. So.
Right. Yeah, in that. But again, just to be clear, I did think the scene, like it was a badass fight, and it was, it didn't belong in Wheel of Time. It belonged somewhere else, but it was awesome. Like I thought that was great. Yeah. I nitpick all the details, and when they do that, the little girl pregnant, just beating the shit out of 4 or 5 different guys. I think there was 3 guys ganging up on her at one time, and she just went through them like nothing. one guy stabbed her in the side, and then she just basically grabs his arm and twists it around, and I was just like, oh God, come on, please stop. I there was just little details where it just made me not very happy with how that went. But I agree to what you're saying when you're fed the worst tasting garbage. I don't want to get too graphic, but when when it tastes a little bit better, you're like, okay, yeah, this is good. But yeah, just take a break from Wheel of Time and go watch literally any other fantasy show for 5 minutes. And you're like, oh, true. Yes, thank you. Okay, true. Good. Okay, good.
James Winterbottom has a very good point, and that is ever since the Emmons Field 5 left Emmons Field, Lan was training Rand.
Yeah.
And the other boys, to a certain degree, just in the same way that, oh Lord, I'm totally blanking out it. Who's the entertainer?
Tom?
The Gleeman Tom.
Oh, Gleeman Tom,
just like Tom was.
Or Thom, if you want to pronounce the H, but I don't.
No, Tom. Yeah, let's just say Tom. Just like Tom was teaching Rand, Matt, how to play the instruments so that they could earn their keep, which is entirely absent from the show. But it cannot be overstated what James Winterbottom is saying here. And again, I've covered it in some of my episodic reviews that this is, again, intersectional feminism. A man cannot train anyone. It's not just a woman. A man cannot be in a position of competence over anyone else or potentially even be equal with a strong female character in this new entertainment style of writing that we're getting. And it's a real shame because, as somebody who, I'm not going to dox myself, but let's just say I'm not 20, I really appreciate when there is representation of, say, the village elder man or the seasoned grizzled veteran who's out there dispensing knowledge as well as teasing him for being young. And I think a real opportunity was missed narratively, but again, we have to back out of this and understand every single decision with Wheel of Time was a conscious one. Every decision to omit certain details was passed through some type of a digestive track of neo-Marxism, intersectional feminism, and an identity politics. The casting, the dialogues, the roles, the diminishing of men was not an accident.
Yeah, I believe that Brandon Sanderson still gets to look at the scripts and make suggestions. So this has also gone through him, where he looks at it and says, you should make these changes. And then they just veto him. They say, no, we're not going to make those changes. But, one of my fan theories, and this could explain where they might be going with this idea of not training Rand. And this is a bad theory. For those of you guys in chat, please don't hold it against me. It's just a thing I think of once in a while. I always thought that, okay, Rand would train with Lan. That's all going well. We still have some time, of course, if we're going to go into the Great Hunt, where they're standing up on top of the upper tower area and they're practicing the sword. We still have time for lessons. But my theory has always been Rand isn't so much learning the sword as he is remembering the sword, because the more he channels, the more powerful he gets, the more that barrier between his current iteration of the dragon and his former. Lews Therin was a badass sword fighter, even better than Demandred, as according to the lore. He is, like that 0.5% better than Demandred at everything. And that's one of the reasons why Demandred goes over to the dark side, is that he is jealous of Lews Therin. But they're really, really close. He's really strong. He's really powerful. And the sword fighting of Lews Therin is amazing. So, like, how did he beat the Blade Master, the legit Blade Master in the Great Hunt? Was it Rand actually winning, or was it some of that? Because Rand will channel and he'll do something that he has no idea how he did it, but then he remembers it immediately. Yeah, that he remembers how to do it. That's all coming from Lews Therin, who's doing the thing. And then Rand's like, oh, I see how that works, because he's actually remembering it. So that's just my theory, is that he does get better with Lan. Yes, Lan's, of course, amazing. He's 100 out of 100 sword fighter. But as he's teaching Rand's almost remembering the moves. He's remembering the sword style. He's remembering what each of the things is, sometimes by a different name because the names change, but the forms, the sword forms.
Yeah.
That's just my weird theory, that he's remembering more than he's learning.
I would agree, but I think through the process of that physical, and they go into great detail how much work he had to do in order to learn all of the forms. And they had great names for them. Please go ahead, do yourself a favor, get a Robert Jordan's Eye of the World. You will not regret it. It's a fantastic read.
Yeah.
But Mike is right, and you see it where he can know them, but when he lets go and he's put in these situations where emotion and instinct take over, he becomes that much better. There's really no other way to put it. There was
it's almost like he's pulling the knowledge from his previous self through, but that's after he started channeling. Of course, his insanity is the actual breaking down of that barrier, and he starts hearing voices. We all know, but that's what I mean, is that he's learning. Yeah, I just think he's remembering more than he's learning, is what I guess I would say. But you still have to have Lan, the top tier 100 out of 100 sword fighter, teaching him, and he's going like, okay, yeah, this is making sense. I'm remembering this. He's not like going immediately to Blade Master. He still has to be like, okay. I mean, just at the beginning of Great Hunt, Lan saying, if I had another year or 5 years or whatever what he said, I can make you worthy of that sword. And then Rand's point of view was that based on Lan's body language, he wasn't sure that he wasn't almost already there already. So he's gaining, like, you don't get that good that fast. So that's one of the things that I feel supports that stupid theory. And again, chat, it's just a stupid theory. It's not backed up by anything. I don't know. It's just something I think about when I read the books. Knowing how it ends, like on my 5th reread, I'm thinking that. So.
No, and that's, again, that's one of the beautiful things about reading any series. And you can grab, let's say 10 people in chat who read The Hobbit, and they're all going to have that 90% pure essential experience. What it comes down to is the other 10% that really affects our perception of characters, what the details mean, or what things that were inferred meant. And I'm not going to turn this into the Witcher 2 stream, but I know that's certainly true for me watching Witcher Season 2, having read all of the books, and they are not easy to get through, starting with the Blood of the Elves, is that and I'm going to be doing my review on Season 2, am probably going to be more forgiving than people would expect. And I'm just going to say that. However, what we can look at is this comment from Matera. Oh, look at this. Yeah. Mike's got all the comic books. This guy has the deep lore. So,
I was showing off the companion a bit ago.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, I know.
Which is my daughter. Oops, I keep hitting the mic. Sorry. This is my daughter's, actually. I asked to borrow it.
So let me cover the comment by Matera. I did a video, which I thought was going to be a throwaway, covering the comments of Brandon Sanderson from a Reddit article. It's important for me to state for the millionth time that I sourced this article from Forbes. So writer on Forbes, who actually has their own podcast on Wheel of Time, that brought this to my attention. I then proceeded to go through the article, cover what Brandon Sanderson said, and represent the statements that as they were. There was a lot within that which was backpedaling that you would expect from somebody under an NDA, someone who had probably been paid pretty darn well by one of the largest corporations on the planet and knew enough to not need lawyers. Let's just say that, in my opinion. And what it came down to is he specifically called out changes that, this is Brandon Sanderson, who wrote arguably the 3 weakest books of the 15-book series after Robert Jordan's passing. But he called out the change in Perrin. He didn't like Perrin's backstory with the dead wife. He also didn't like what they did to Matt at all, turning him into a degenerate. So I just find it fascinating that, again, people are paying attention to this, and especially with Brandon Sanderson, there's no way someone like Sanderson, who has the Mistborn series and a whole lot of other books that he would love to have developed for television or made into movies, stepping out of line, in my opinion, to Amazon or to anyone in Hollywood. It is the way that it is, you know. What we saw with the Spider-Man movie was an absolute rarity. And I would caution people that the MCU movies that are coming are not going to be any different than what we've seen with Shang-Chi or the Eternals. Will it ever turn around? I don't know. Witcher Season 2 gave me some hope, but I'm getting off track on this. Let's get back to some of the comments out there. Let's see what we've got here. Yeah, well, this is a good springboard. James Smith, I hate Amazon Wheel of Time so much. Yeah, absolutely. This episode, Min was a complete, added to the list of things that they did wrong. Mike, you had referenced how it turns into this weird love triangle thing, which has absolutely nothing, zero to do with anything at all from Rodbert Jordan's books. There is nothing at all that this is even a thing. And it goes back to me thinking, again, Rafe Jordan, he wrote himself into a corner, so he went to what he knew, which is writing crappy television, which is that whole CW level, Marvel Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. level nonsense, which has nothing to do with the fantasy series. Mike, what do you think?
Yeah, we're Dawson's Creek is like what I said before. It was, this isn't the relationship between Rand and Piran. This is not how they're bros. There's a let me pull up this White Cloaks thing here if I can share a screen. Just give me 1 second. I always have to give credit where credit's due. These guys are awesome over there on Reddit's White Cloaks. If you'll drag that over. Nice little picture there. The Piran and Rand that we wanted, which is basically, from Scrubs, 100%, if you guys are familiar. And the Piran and Rand that we got, which is from Twilight. Yeah, I went a little bit further. I was like, if this is Dawson's Creek, we got Pacey, we got Dawson, and we got Joey, and they are after the same girl. It's not, it isn't, okay, let's say Piran did have something for Egwene. Like he got a little crush on her. I'm just saying, hypothetically. No. You don't want to do that. But I'm just saying,
ahead.
Rand would be, like, let's say when they're out traveling with the traveling people, the Tinkers, she caught Piran's eye. He would not be moving in on Rand's territory. Right? He would, no. It just no. Right? So, whatever that whole drama thing was, the standing toe to toe, we're gonna fight kind of a thing. It's like, come on, guys. I mean, you're supposed to be making the Wheel of Time. You said you wanted to make it more adult oriented, to be more like Game of Thrones and stuff, but you keep going to the CW. Okay, Wheel of Time does not follow the Flash or Arrow. Okay. It's on Amazon Prime, and it's supposed to be your water cooler show. And the people around the water cooler aren't supposed to be talking about the drama between Rand and Piran over Egwene. They're supposed to be talking about just how awesome the show is. So what are they doing? Who is writing this stuff? I don't know what to even say about this. This is I just literally felt like I was watching one of those shows. Like I'm back in the freaking 90s or 2000s or whatever the hell those shows were on. Beverly Hills 90210. And I'm watching drama. I'm watching teenage high school drama.
Yeah. Yeah. And that goes back, I think, to what I was saying, which is that Rafe Judkins wrote himself into a corner. Whoever he had on this writing team didn't know where to go. So then they just turned it into Dawson Creek in the desert with magical bullshit lesbian Aes Sedai. We talked before the stream about how I literally cannot, even in my review videos, try to go back to the books to do any type of a coherent overlay that wouldn't take an hour of video, because the deviation from the story, from the characters, from where they're going, from the interpersonal relationships, it's so profound. You cannot, you could literally watch this entire show, go by the Wheel of Time, and see an absolutely different story, which is 1,000 times better. And you will feel nothing but rage probably by the middle of the book, and say the same thing that Mike, I, and so many other people have said is, how could you take this work, which was so ready to be an episodic TV show, and turn it into this? Because I'm at a loss for words, honestly. And that whole scene, with the Perrin, Egwene, Rand, love triangle that doesn't exist. It was such a throwaway, and I don't have any explanation at all why they would do it. This is another one of those consequences of aging the characters up and deviating from the books.
You would have thought they would have aged them out of that kind of behavior, not into that kind of behavior. Because they're like 17, 18, something like that in the books at this point, maybe 18. And so, okay, fine. But yeah, what age are they supposed to be right now? 20 something? 20, 21?
Let's be honest. There's the physical age of people, and then there's the emotional age of people. And I talked about that in my episode 6 part 2 review, where I'm like, we saw how petty the character of Moiraine was being, and that all of the values coming from Rafe Judkins in that writer's room, we're seeing them in all of the episodes. In this episode, would it surprise me that there are people who may chronologically be close to 30, but think and act like this and think it's normal? I would not be surprised at all. So
100%. Have you been on Twitter? Have you been on Twitter? Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
Just read some of those. Yeah. Yeah, no, 100%. Arrested Development for sure.
James Nicholson. I love the rotoscope Lord of the Rings. I have that restored. It's one of my favorite things to watch. All right. That then brings us, speaking of emotionally stunted characters, Lan and Nynaeve getting it on, and Nynaeve initiating it. Thoughts,
yes. Okay, so...
And not from Twitch thoughts, but thoughts like thinking.
Right, yeah, no, yeah, right. Oh God, okay. I don't need Amaranth in my head right now, please. Okay, so,
dude, nobody does.
So yeah, you just have to start with the tear down of, I guess you would say, the culture, right? So what you have is that the Two Rivers, Amon's Field, that whole area of the world, very rural, very socially conservative. I always equate it to like Little House on the Prairie. Most of you guys in chat probably have no idea about Little House on the Prairie. I'm old enough to have watched it. Very, very, like, you wait until you get married. You're promised to somebody, then you court for a while, then you get married, and then you take the next step. They threw that all out the window, and it is my opinion, and opinion only, that it is because if you look at the people that are actually making the show and what their social values are, what their agenda is, they don't like that kind of behavior. To them, it is white, Western European cultural values based upon Christianity, Catholicism, something like that. And it all needs to be torn down. Yeah, it all needs to be torn down. It is the cause of the oppression of the world. It's all shit. Santa Claus is shit. Christmas is shit. We can't do any of these things. Everything's got to be torn down. And so, and it's part of the cultural Marxism. And I hate using Marxism because it's a strong word, but it is what it is. It's the reappropriation of these assets. And this asset is culture. So if you think, guys, think for a second. If you go Star Wars, what did they do to Star Wars? If you do Superman, what have they done to Superman? You do the DC Batman, universe. What did they do there? What are they doing to Hobbit? What are they doing on Amazon's version of The Hobbit? Just go through any kind of art, any kind of content at all that we think of, that our parents enjoyed, our grandparents enjoyed, what we want our children to enjoy. And you think that at some point they step in and say, okay, we're going to modify it. We're going to change it. We're going to reimagine it. And we're going to spew out the other end our agenda, and they're trying to indoctrinate.
It's being deconstructed,
right?
Is what it is.
And so, I mean, just recently, Snow White, we got Cinderella stuff happening.
Yeah,
and it's just taking the things that you enjoyed when you were a kid, what your parents enjoyed when they were a kid, etc., and just rewriting it, changing it, so that when you go as a new person, like you go, let's say you have a child, and your child's like, say, 10 years old. what's Snow White? Oh yes, let me show you Snow White. And you go search for it, and you can only find modern Snow White. You can't find the original Disney classic. It's gone. It's been put in the vault or something.
Yeah.
It's stuff like that. They want to change everything. So back to your question. I took a long detour there. So this idea of the cultural conservatism of the two rivers, waiting till you get married. Obviously Rand stepped out of that. I'm not saying that they have to be Puritans, but Nynaeve is completely out of character as always, and she would not have either one, made the first move, two, followed Land back to his room, even for a little, kiss on the cheek. It's just this whole thing is we cannot have this character. We cannot have these values. We have to change the values. So,
well, it's
do
not
I care? Let me think about it this way.
not,
Here, I'm a straight male. I love to watch attractive people get it on my television and movies. I'm not opposed to this, but you're changing a character that I like from the books, doing that. Yeah. So go ahead.
No. I appreciate your passion, and I think I don't disagree with you on those things. I don't. The most important thing in all of this is this is not what the author wrote these characters as. Like, even vaguely. I'm rereading the series now. I'm on book 7, and Nynaeve did not want people to see her in a nightshirt at night. She felt shame and was embarrassed. And even by that book, there had been not even a kiss or any type of grope between her and Lan. And to me it's very lazy, sloppy
because
storytelling.
Lan didn't want that to happen. Remember, he doesn't want to, because of his destiny, he doesn't want her involved.
Yeah, he's also bonded to Moiraine, which is a problem. The show is not representing the bond between a warder and an Aes Sedai the way Robert Jordan intended. Okay, that then brings us to the reveal of Rand.
Mm-hmm.
This episode, quality-wise, they blew a lot of money on CGI, but the writing was, God, so many episodes were so terrible. This writing really felt like they were running out of time for the season. And so they're like, oh my God, we pissed around making characters lesbians that weren't, and, screwing around doing this. And it's like, we better actually get to the story of the Great Dragon. And surprise, after all of this buildup with Nynaeve, Rand is out there shooting arrows and then has a vision, and that's it. There's no showing over the past 7 episodes any indication that Rand was starting to be able to manifest the male version of the power, that he was able to do things he couldn't explain. They lazily said, oh, I saw that mountain before, or I forget, there was another reference, but this is the main character who's going to become a commander of armies and cause nations to tear themselves apart. People are going to sacrifice themselves because they believe in him. And we have this dopey CW love triangle corner Amazon representation of Rand that in no way can this guy or the characterization of this guy bring us to anything that is even going to vaguely look like the Rand al'Thor Dragon Reborn from the books.
100%. What did you think about his archery training montage with his emotional level? And that there's this flame in the void aspect that we're supposed to be aware of. Tam teaches him that. And he's out there missing because he's super emotional. He's been fighting with the Queen. She comes in, talks to him a little bit. They make up. Okay, we think, okay, now his emotions will calm down a little bit. They go back to get it on. But then he has the flashback sequence, the dreams, right? He remembers Tam telling him where he was found. It's going over in his head. Then he's recalling all the instances of which he channeled, knocking the door down, being the one to knock the Trolloc off the ledge. And he's like, and then Manchin Chin actually saying to him, which Manchin Chin, by the way, we should address, doesn't talk. It says things like, I'm gonna eat your skin and all that. Okay, whatever. But anyways, talks to them, tells them stories. So Rand has all of that emotion as he's sitting on the edge of the bed, having, unable to fall asleep, and he's super hyper emotional. He's remembering his dad telling him that he's basically not his dad. And then he goes out and starts sinking arrows in the bullseye.
Uh-huh.
Was there any indication, as he has tears in his eyes and he's growling in his face and he's sinking these things, that he's found this Zen part of his brain?
No.
Like he's pushed all this emotion into a flame, and
again, I mean, we're approaching it as book readers, right? We're approaching it with people who have a relationship with the character who was articulated by a much, much better writer than what we're seeing from Amazon. The thing that I think troubles me the most about Rand, the actor playing Rand al'Thor, is that I'm having a very difficult time every time I see him going, that's not Rand, and I'm trying, but there has been nothing through 6 episodes that has him acting like Rand al'Thor, and it's not just his age. And then to have him sitting there firing into hay bales or whatever it is, and then suddenly it's like, oh, I remember everything now. Well, isn't that convenient?
Mm-hmm.
I thought it was lazy, sloppy, and to me, I really do believe this. When they started writing this show, they had no idea where it was all gonna go. I think they wanted a big bang. I think, in my opinion, Rafe Judkins told a lot of people he knew all about this story. To me, in my opinion, what we have gotten on screen, that is not someone who has done more than pick up that book and set it on a bookshelf. There's no way anybody can explain this to me. The other part of this is that they paid the supposed scholars of Robert Jordan, who were supposed to be keeping an eye on this as an intellectual property, and say, yeah, that's Wheel of Time. Here we are in episode 7. If I was Amazon, I would demand that money back, because this is Wheel in Time only. They stole the names, they stole locations, and here we are in episode 7, traveling the wrong ways with the wrong people, without our third, stool leg, Matrim, in the Band of the Red Hand and all of those other things that come on down in the future. We have characters not being who they were, saying things they would never say in places they shouldn't be, participating in events that never occurred, to then go on to other things that were created by those events that never occurred. And it's hard to even review it with any sense of regard, other than this is hack. It's hack butchery. And episode 7, to know that we have one more episode left and this is where they are, and we're missing Matt. I don't see how episode 8 is going to be anything other than an implosion of exposition. There is no other way that they can try and get out of season 1.
Yeah.
What do you think? Sorry.
Right. No, you're absolutely 100% right with all of that. I always try to connect the dots, and I always try to think of it from a writer's perspective. I'm not a writer, but if I were, and I was in that room, how would I connect dots? I know what needs to happen. How would I do it? And they've gone so far away from where people need to be that I actually cannot see how they get people where they're supposed to be. I can't see how they connect these dots. I can, fire everybody and put me in charge for a little while. Maybe I can get people back on track. But I don't know, Corey. It's, with Matt being gone, there was, obviously we knew that Fane, as book readers, we knew Fane was in the ways, and he was the one that they were hearing following behind. I assume that somebody thought that maybe people would think it was Matt following behind. But if Matt comes out of that gateway, dude, I may just break my TV. It just may come to that. The new Mats, the new Mats, the recast Matt. Well, the way sure changed you, boy. You're completely different.
I fixed it for him, and I'm giving it. No one's going to watch my episode 7 review, which I'll drop tomorrow, but I'll give it to you guys because we're on the stream. This was really easy to do. When they're all standing around the place that looks like the Game of Thrones prop rummage sale ways.
Yeah.
And Matt, they're using B-roll footage of the actor of Matt, who was digitally put in there because he was not on the show. He was gone. Whether he left or was fired, we still don't know. It could have been very easy to have Moiraine, when she started channeling, which of course was wrong to open the ways, cause some type of a rift thing if, like she says, Matt was so evil, where it's a force evolution of the character that Matt becomes through a couple of books ahead. I'm going to say 4 books, 3 books, Mike, sound about right. And he starts to take on a slightly different persona where he hears the elder speech, the old speech. He starts talking in ways and remembering things that he did not do as that Matt. But if they would have done that, this is like that took me like 1 minute to come up with. Recast it with somebody else who's, about the same age, maybe looks a little bit like him, but still has that Matt that we knew.
Yeah.
That would have solved all the problems. But they're so damn lazy that they couldn't be bothered to do that.
Instead they had Moiraine send a message to the Red Aes Sedai to go find Matt.
Yeah, she sent a hit squad of Reds to kill Matt. That's what Amazon, Rafe Judkins, that writer's room think of the important third male, mature, masculine character of Robert Jordan's whole series. Just kill him. Just kill him.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
All
right,
right,
I think he quit. Yeah, I think he quit. That's my take on it. I think he did quit, and good for him. Honestly, get out while you can. So good.
So let's do this. You and I have talked a lot, and everybody, thank you for showing up on this live stream. What questions do you have, or what things do you feel really strongly about that you would like our perception on, or that you think we should talk about from episode 7? I know, looking back through the totality of this bombed out, nuclear smoldering crater that was once a beautiful palace on the hill called the Wheel of Time, what would you all like to talk about? Is there anything out there? Oh, yeah. Well, there it is. Nate Nichols saying that the Senchan won't be in the show. God, there are so many scenes from those books, from the 2 books. That's the other thing is, when is Perrin ever going to take the Ways along with Loyal to go back to Emmons Field? When is that going to happen? I mean,
and more importantly, how does he get in and back out again when the whole thing with the leaf and the key to open it isn't in the show? How would he even, Loyal and Matt or Perrin go through? Okay. All right. Maybe Moiraine opens it on one side. Okay, guys, take off. So you go. Off you go. All right. How do they get out? You know what I mean? It's like it's not going to happen. They got to do something else.
Yeah, and that goes right back to what you were talking about. This is from James Nicholson. How will anyone use the Ways now? Very good question. Very good question. And oh my God, there's so much story that they should have done. They just should have made Eye of the World season 1. And 8 episodes would not have been enough, in my opinion. They would have done an adequate job. An adequate job if they covered half the book in 8 episodes. Instead, we got 1 episode that vaguely looked like the Eye of the World, and then that was it. It's just the
first season should have been up to the Ways, going in. They should have rolled to black after they go into the Ways the correct way with the correct people saying the correct things and doing the correct things, and then they go in, roll to black. Season 2, they take up from there.
Yeah,
that's my opinion.
Yeah, Pocket Aes Sedai is right. That's about the only way you can use the Ways. I mean, again, it's so powerful in the books, the way the Ways are, those beautiful, delicate scroll work with the leaves, and why they chose to do that ugly, blocky Game of Thrones towery nonsense, I will simply never understand.
Corey, one of the things that I think of that's so sad is that there are people out there that have never read The Wheel of Time that might have actually picked it up at some point, but they watch this travesty on Amazon and they say, there's no way I'm interested. If that's anything like Wheel of Time, no thank you. And they'll never read it.
Yeah. And I'm just going to respond to Phoenix Fire 108. Hail. We talked about it earlier, but I will say it again because it's important to me. You know, I was an educator many years ago and taught and have mentored in other things other than the stuff we talk about on YouTube. And what he says is talk about how important land teaching Rand was. It was a righteous thing to have a mature man teaching a boy how to fight right. That's true. And I've already talked about it, but you can't have a man in a position of competency equal to or greater to a woman. A man has to be stupid, lesser than, or evil. That is intersectional storytelling. And one thing, okay, brace yourselves, everybody. Witcher season 2 did not change Kaer Morhen and Witcher men patriarchs teaching young girls. So I want to call it out for that. That is something we will never see in Amazon's Wheel of Time. And I will bet you all $20 when Amazon's $1 billion Similarian in the second age drops, I can guarantee you we will see the same intersectional neo-Marxist themes overlaid over Tolkien's vision in that as well. Mike, do you disagree with that?
No, I don't. I just want to quote Lan real quick. How you be a man, whatever comes, face it on your feet.
Yeah. You know, I mean, boys are, oh God, watch my YouTube channel get shut down before I even make 1,000 subscribers. Children are different depending on how they're born. And I, you know, that's not a universal, but having strong fathers, again, something missing from entertainment, they're a joke, or they're absent, or they're the bad dad. We saw that trope being used with that made up bullshit warder who killed himself in, what was it, episode 5? This is a character who didn't exist in the books, having a backstory which didn't exist in the books and was simply a checkbox on that neo-Marxist deconstructionalist checklist, where it's not enough not to show Lan not teaching Rand. You have to then tear down a warder who's, you know, hated his father. Like, who cares, you know? All right, I'm going down a rabbit hole on this one.
Yeah,
but
that's fine.
Let's look at some of these things. So, yeah, we'll be lucky, Brian Martin, if Sauron is a man. But then again, in the second age, and I'm hearing this, Gandalf could be something other than a man. I am just gonna say that. That's a rumor, okay? And I do not like to run with rumors. I'm just gonna say you can very easily find that rumor yourself. I'll just say that. So. Oh yeah, and let's get back to again. I don't want to do this. Zach is absolutely right. Matt's dad was a loser. Remember that whole backstory with Matt, which did not exist in the books. All these kids came from great, hardworking nuclear families, you know, with lots of siblings. And Rand's dad was a philanderer who drove Rand's mother to become an alcoholic, and then Rand's just like his no good father, like sleeping with women to steal.
You're talking about Matt.
jewelry.
Matt. You're saying Rand. Yeah,
sorry,
Matt. Yeah.
Sorry. Like they turned Matt into this whole thing where it was just they could not wait to tear men down, regardless of age. But yeah, I apologize.
Yeah, you got to break up that nuclear family, the moral values, because it's, you know, you just can't have it in today's world. Have you seen, Corey? Have you seen the interest trends on Google Trends between Wheel of Time and The Witcher, which is the new season 2 that just dropped on Netflix, which we were talking about?
Comparing Wheel of Time viewership over time to
not viewership, just not viewership, just interest. Like how many people are typing in like the search criteria on Google. It creates a trend, and that trend.
Yeah, I remember when they compared that data. I think it was Heel versus Babyface did that. I'm going to pull this up for the Eternals, and it was in the dumpster, and we all know what happened to the Eternals. So there's something to that data.
Yep, there you go. And if you sort by from United States, you go to world, it gets even more.
Which is which?
The red is Witcher. The blue is
Okay.
Wheel of Time.
Wow, that's
again, this is just you can see at the top here we have Wheel of Time. It says television series. Over here it says The Witcher and it says drama series. And you could just say, okay, I just want to do The Witcher, for example. Never mind the drama. Over here, same thing. I want to do, let's say, just the Wheel of Time. This would include books and all that as well. You still get the same graph. Like, it's pretty much the same thing. And then this is sorted by 30 days. We can sort by the past 4 hours, for example. Doesn't have anything. Okay, well, we can't do that. Let's go back to Wheel of Time television series, The Witcher drama series, and this is the past 4 hours. Blue being
can you do the
worldwide.
Last week? Do the last week. Let's do the last week because
past 7 days.
Past 7 days. Oh, Jesus, there. Yeah. That tells you everything you need to know right there. And let me drop this. Oh, we've got the overlay. You can see a little bump, just a tiny, tiny little bump. It looks before Fridays, but wow.
Yeah.
This was not a success, in my opinion. I think. And
again, guys, I want to make sure chat understands what we're looking at here. This is not ratings. This is not viewership.
No, it's not
this
Simba.
it's not that kind of data. It is simply when you go to Google and you're interested in something, you type in the search, you hit enter or click to go, and it gives you a result. How many people are typing in with the Wheel of Time for the television? How many for The Witcher? They're both the water cooler show that's happening right now. Netflix has The Witcher. Amazon Prime has The Wheel of Time. Apparently, The Witcher is garnering more excitement. People are more interested in it. Yeah, poor Abel. It looks like we may have lost Corey's audio.
No, that would be boomer. That would be me boomering, even though I'm a Gen X. No, I was just going to say Abel Cawthon, of course. And does anybody remember Matt's abilities with the quarterstaff? I mean, you wouldn't from the show, but you would from the books, where only his dad was better than he was. Instead, he's just an alcoholic lech who's, driving his wife to drink. But, again, whatever. Oh, wait a minute. This is great. And Dave, 3D man, the Seal 9 Eve could take out a Trolloc single-handedly.
Oh, God. Yeah, that's one of those moments where I actually got up and had to leave the room. Oh, my God.
My dog has learned to leave my office when I'm making reviews because he actually looks at me like, are you possessed?
Yeah, are you mad at me? No, it's like,
No, I have to go out and give him lots of pets and take him for a walk so he knows it's not him, it's Rafe Judkins that I'm yelling at. So,
yeah.
Well, I tell you what, we've been going a while. What time is it now? Yeah, we've been going about an hour and a quarter. I still need to finish ripping my episode 7 review. We should do this again for episode 8. And I'm going to be
if we can make it through. If we make it through,
we'll see. But go ahead and shout out your channel. First of all, I want to thank everyone for showing up tonight. It means a lot to me. I don't like when people on every one of their videos, ask you to like and subscribe. I try to put it at the end down at the front, but when we started this stream, I was at 930 plus subscribers. Everyone knows the magic number is 1,000 and change, because YouTube loves to steal your subscribers and unsubscribe you. If you like what we're doing here, not just me, but OBG70 Mike, please go ahead, check him out, give him a subscription. Please give me a sub. It would mean a lot to me. I try to work very hard to produce quality content that is worthy of your time. So thank you for that. So OBG70, tell me about your channel. How can people find you?
Yeah, I've had a dead channel for a while because I had nothing to say. But since Wheel of Time came out, I found myself needing to, vent. And here we go. Yeah, thank you very much, Zach, for the link. I'm like at 200 subscribers. Last I looked, like I said, I just started with doing these reviews, and I wouldn't mind getting a few more. But normally, I actually would prefer you give your subs to Salty here, because get him to that 1,000.
No,
So honestly, if you got to pick one, go to him, because I'm here just as a sidekick. I honestly, it doesn't really matter to. I'm never going to get to 1,000 subs. It's just not going to happen. I'm not interested in that. So, but you could chat with me on Twitter. I'm at Bitten, BITTEN_8. Go check me out over there. Follow me. You can send me messages. Love to chat with you. And thanks to everybody that helps out. We got Kyle over there, Zach. He is our moderator now. I really do appreciate it. And I'm going to have him on at some point. He's going to be the voice of reason at some point. And we're going to make more Witcher stuff. I do like that. Obviously it's more popular, but I don't know. I like how they released it all at once, though. I got to say that makes it easy, because we get to talk about the entire season.
Agreed.
With that being said, just follow me over on Twitter. And if you think in this entire time, I wish I was on this panel, I wish I had something to say, or I could come on, reach out to Corey on Twitter.
Yeah, I was going to bring that up.
Yeah,
I'm on Twitter. You can find me at Texas Salty C, and I'm out there. Reach out to me if you've got a channel. Say hey. Tell me what you'd like to talk about, because once Wheel of Time winds down, I'm actually going to be covering The Witcher, and it may not be popular what I have to say. I am not a shield, but I'm kind of looking at things differently, and I'm not going to say that I'm going to be more forgiving. What I'm going to try and do in some of my episodes is relate why what you're seeing on screen does not feel like season 1 at all, and there's a reason for that, and it's for better or for worse. It is what it is, but that doesn't make it a great show. It just means there's a reason why. So yeah.
And I for one would like to have some opposing views on the show. I'd like to get into it. I'll treat you nice. There's going to be no argument, just some discussion. So if you're thinking, no, you guys are full of crap, come on and tell us why. I'd like to get some female voices in here, of course. And well, we already had one that I tried to get in, but she's too good for us, so that doesn't work out. But yeah, I keep asking Kyle, have you messaged this person? Have you messaged this person? So message him.
No, Zach,
reach out.
Who's our moderator. I can't say thank you enough. Kyle is putting me in touch with other people too on Discord. So I'm going to be working on bringing some people in and how it works for them. I'm a small and upcoming YouTube channel. Everyone who showed up tonight, who liked and sub, you're the reason where I am where I am. I never take it for granted. It means the world to me. It truly does. And I don't know if we're going to have another live stream before Christmas, but I want to tell everybody from the bottom of my heart, truly, have a fun, wild, passionate, carefree Merry Christmas. Really, I wish you nothing but that. After the last 2 years we've all been through, we all deserve that. So Hail to everyone in the chat. Hail to Mike. Go find him at OBG70. Give him a sub. If you like what I do, give me a sub too. You all, thank you so much. Merry Christmas. God
Merry Christmas, guys. Take it easy.
I will talk to you all soon. Adios.